Welcome to the 30th Celebrity Synastry chart reading where I will be looking into Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Adeline. I look at the dynamic between two celebrities using astrology, specifically Synastry. For those new and returning, I take notes on a Synastry chart looking at the personal planet signs, aspects, and if birth time available house overlays. I share these notes and add my extra insights and interpretations along the way. And of course, as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below and let's get a discussion going. So if that sounds good to you, like, subscribe, and keep on watching. Starting off with the Sun, we have Mariah's Sun in Aries and Nick's Sun in Libra. These are sister polarity signs and also cardinal signs. Over time, Mariah will see Nick as weak. Over time, Nick will see Mariah as selfish. Nick makes more adjustments for Mariah. They need to learn to appreciate each other and need to reconcile the basic differences for this to work. We're off to a good start. There's a friendly atmosphere, they accept their differences, so it's good that they reconcile the basic differences, that's good. They're non-judgmental of each other, relationship begins as friends or friends of benefits. Mariah sees Nick as someone she can spend time with. Nick's Sun in Mariah's 6th house. They're productive together, Nick is submissive, potentially why Mariah may see Nick as weak over time. Work is a strong theme here, and it's a boss-assistant relationship. Mariah's Sun opposite Nick's Saturn. Nick has the habit of parenting Mariah. This is interesting so far. Like, we're quickly into weird power dynamic territory. Relationship of duty and obligation. Mariah's identity may become suppressed, which I find kind of odd because we just saw how Nick makes more adjustments for Mariah, so it's like, this is already weird so far. Mariah is initially attracted to Nick's maturity. Mariah feels blocked and discouraged by Nick. Nick has the tendency to criticize and nag Mariah. Okay, potentially why she may feel a bit suppressed. Nick's Sun square Mariah's Moon. Basic misunderstanding. Yeah. Practical disagreements. There's general discontent. So far, yes. Mariah sees Nick as too rational and selfish. Okay, so they both see each other as selfish. This is going off to a really good start. Nick sees Mariah as too sensitive, potentially because he has the tendency to criticize and nag Mariah. He kind of is like, why are you so sensitive to this when she has the right to feel that way? Mariah may feel resentful towards Nick over time. This is a great start so far. Nick's Sun sextile Mariah's Mars. They motivate each other. They give each other space. I think this is kind of rooted from not wanting to be around each other from what we're seeing so far. Different hobbies. Nick admires Mariah's drive. Neither feels blocked. I assume this would be more leaning towards Nick's side, not feeling blocked. Can further the other's goals. They both give the other confidence. I'm glad we're seeing they, at the bare minimum, motivate each other and make each other confident, which is nice. They participate in activities together. They're straightforward with each other, definitely on Nick's end. They tend to get annoyed with each other, as we've been seeing. So now we're on to Moon. We have Mariah's Moon in Cancer and Nick's Moon in Libra. These are both cardinal signs. They please each other. Confrontation is avoided. We have seen a lot of over time things get bad, so potentially confrontation is avoided in the beginning, and then over time, you know, the problems build up and it just explodes. Differences in priorities, and Mariah may fall into being Nick's parent. What is this? It's odd how we've seen both of them have the habit of being each other's parent, which is very odd. Like, interesting, like, we've seen a lot of, to indicate their power dynamic. We've seen both of them falling into the parent dynamic, but we have also seen Nick being the more submissive one. I think it was Nick. Mariah's Moon in Nick's 3rd house. They're cooperative and friendly. Mariah admires Nick's lifestyle. They communicate well. Mariah is supportive of Nick's priorities. Okay, so we see that they both have a difference in priorities, but at least Mariah supports Nick's ones. Nick enjoys Mariah's company. Nick thinks of Mariah often. It's relaxed and productive, and they don't irritate each other. Nick's Moon in Mariah's 6th house. Nick has conflicting feelings towards Mariah. Okay, this makes sense why, yeah, because it is a bit conflicting so far with both of their feelings. Both are too helpful to each other, can be beneficial if working towards a mutual goal, and it's easy to create a resentful relationship. Yeah, this relationship thus far seems quite fragile in terms of it's easy to create a resentful relationship, it's quite easy for them to irritate each other. You know, we did see they don't irritate each other, but like with what we've seen, I feel like that cancels itself out. Their moons are square together, so timing is difficult. They find each other's habits unbearable. We have seen more in terms of them getting irritated with each other in terms of, you know, they have different hobbies and priorities, and now we see that they have different habits, it's seemingly so. So it seems like they're both attracted to each other, but they don't like each other's habits. Past relationships from both sides are carried into this. They have different views regarding the home. That's not great. I believe they do have kids together, so Mariah's moon, Trine Nick's Mars. They're instinctively drawn to each other. There's mutual attraction. So it seems like the base of this relationship is them being attracted to each other. Lively relationship. Mariah nurtures and feeds Nick's ego. Arguing is not uncommon. Are we surprised? Nick teaches Mariah to be brave and confident. I think this is one of the only good things we're seeing here. They make each other confident. They both learn about their instincts and needs here. I really hope so. Expressing feelings is spontaneous here, so I assume they don't really have much of a filter around each other. Particularly on Nick's end, if he has the tendency to criticize and nag Mariah, and she seems to be getting hurt by it. Obviously, he particularly doesn't have a filter around her. Mariah's moon, sextile Nick's Jupiter. Good fortune, they're a popular couple. I'm not sure if they were a particularly big couple. Honest communication, I see this in terms of they're very blunt around each other. Likely for them to support charities. Excessiveness could be an issue, and they have an intellectual understanding. Mariah's moon, Trine Nick's Uranus. Both feel free to express themselves, definitely so. Nick is more open around Mariah. Ideas of unconventional domestic setup bring them together. This is interesting. I feel like this probably is linked to they have different views regarding the home as we saw before. And they're trying to blend that. I assume that's what it would be. Level of unpredictability. They can cope with sudden changes together. Nick feels safe around Mariah. Okay, so the whole thing with them being parenting each other or falling into being each other's parent, I assume this would be more leaning towards Mariah being the parent, just what we see here. But also Nick seems to be the more submissive one, so that would make sense. Enjoy talking about social issues. We did see before how they support charities, so I assume they both agree that way. Mutual friends may bring them together. Mariah's moon, square Nick's Pluto. Jealousy and emotional manipulation is underlying. I'm not surprised. Nick tends to be controlling over Mariah. I really don't like Nick in this relationship. Like, neither of them seem to be the greatest of each other, but particularly Nick. Nick can sense Mariah's unconscious needs and manipulates her with it. They both need to let go of the idea that love only exists with control. They both need to work through power struggles. Agreed, because the power dynamic here is weird. Like, it does seem to be leaning towards Mariah being a bit more of a parent. See, that's the weird thing. Like, me describing the power dynamic, it's, oh, one person is more of a parent. Like, what is happening? They both need to work through some psychological demons from the past. Agreed. Projection is a challenge and this deep emotional transformation. So now we're into Mercury. We have Mariah's Mercury in Pisces and Nick's Mercury in Scorpio. These are both water signs. Prioritize their feelings and emotions. They are both invested in this relationship. I do see that. Like, it seems like they are both invested in each other. There doesn't seem to be any detachment as such so far. Understand the other's intuitive approach to life. They nurture each other, particularly on Mariah's end. It seems like they are both sensitive and take things personally. Particularly from Mariah's end, we did see she does seem to be a bit more sensitive. Mariah's Mercury in Nick's 11th house. Mariah is open and communicative with Nick. Nick finds Mariah pleasant. At least we do see that Nick seems to really enjoy Mariah's company and sees her as a pleasant person. Nick looks forward to spending time with Mariah, and they are both tolerant and patient with each other. I don't like seeing this just with the other things there are. Nick's Mercury in Mariah's 6th house. Nick's mind is stable around Mariah. Nick communicates with Mariah practically. He seems to have no cares in the world. He seems to just have no filters around Mariah, which I don't think is the best thing. Mariah thinks that Nick is reliable, and Mariah sees Nick as a stable companion. I'm not sure exactly what Nick does, but She seems to really view Nick as someone like really stable that has a good lifestyle, so I wonder what he does. I don't believe he's an actor or a musician or of any kind, so Mariah's Mercury, Trine Nick's Mars. Nick stimulates Mariah's mind, Nick energizes Mariah, Nick helps Mariah develop her ideas, so it's nice that Nick seems to, you know, really help Mariah, like, sort of come into her own. It seems like not necessarily come into her own. I'm sure she was, like, very well successful, probably before this relationship, but she seems to really come into her, like, her own confidence. Mariah teaches Nick how to be more reasonable. I feel like Mariah does fall into the parent dynamic here, this sort of motherly dynamic here. It's really odd. They both move forward in this relationship. Mariah helps Nick to problem solve. Healthy intellectual competition. We do keep seeing, at least intellectually, they get along. They work well together. Nick takes Mariah's words personally. Are they both sensitive to each? This is not great. They're both like we did see before, they're both sensitive and take things personally, but seem to be more coming from Mariah's, and now it seems like it's both, which is enjoy debating together. Perfect. Mariah's Mercury opposite Nick's Jupiter. Different philosophical views. So I don't know where this would be. I assume just philosophically wise, because we did see socially they do seem to be pretty much on the same page. They frequently interrupt each other. I'm not surprised. These two seem to be very blunt around each other. Mariah sees Nick as too flippant. I don't know how. Potentially may see more. There's a mutual lack of understanding, and Nick sees Mariah as too rational. Mariah's Mercury, Trine Nick's Uranus. Mariah sees Nick as an intellectual companion. They're perceptive and intuitive of each other. I assume this would be because they both seem to be quite sensitive, so it's likely they are sensitive to each other. There's open communication. They work well together on goals. Encourage the other's vision. Seems to be more so from Nick's side. He seems to be very supportive of Mariah. Mariah becomes more inventive around Nick. Mariah's Mercury, Trine Nick's Neptune. They think creatively around each other. They both need to be clearer with communication. I'm not sure where this would be from, because so far from what we've seen, they both seem to be a bit too direct to each other, particularly on Nick's end. Potentially, maybe with Mariah needing to be clear how she feels when Nick is a bit naggy of her. Mariah misunderstands Nick and sees him as abstract. Interesting. Nick sees Mariah as practical and logical, and Mariah's trust for Nick fades. I think we did see this before. Nick feels misunderstood by Mariah, and Nick feels limited by Mariah. Okay. So there does seem to be, we did see in the beginning, they both feel very blocked and discouraged by each other. And that has been repeated on both ends, that, you know, Nick feels limited, Mariah feels blocked. So, and it does seem to be due to misunderstanding each other. So, from what I'm gathering so far, it seems like this relationship, like, they do seem to have a good rapport with each other intellectually. And they seem to be quite attracted to each other. They make each other feel confident and everything. But I feel like that's so superficial. From what we're seeing, it seems to be more of a superficial level, because we do see quite a lot of clash with how they are as people individually. And I don't think that helps, because they seem to misunderstand each other a lot, and that seems to be the root of their issues. So now it's time for Venus. We have Mariah's Venus in Aries and Nick's Venus in Virgo. Not an easy relationship. I'm not surprised. They both enjoy being active together. They need to be patient with each other. Mariah's impulsiveness makes Nick insecure. I think we did see before, like, I think on both ends, but particularly Nick's end, that, there is a sense of needing to control the other. Potentially this is why Nick may feel the need to do that. Mariah needs to be more evidently appreciative of Nick. Nick kind of seems to be reacting to Mariah being a bit more detached, and he's not doing it in the best way, but it seems to be that's why he seems to be a bit more controlling and critical, because she seems to be a bit more flighty and independent of Nick. Both find the honesty they are looking for. I can't disagree with that, can I? Finances will be a source of conflict. So there seems to be a real dispute of how to create a domestic life together. I know finances aren't specifically like a domestic, like, you know, family affair. But, you know, they are heavily linked, and it seems like they really don't disagree on how to run a home together. I feel like I'm pretty sure they do have kids. I will not be surprised if their relationship deteriorated because of like their completely different views of the home, and it's like they chose to do that together and they have different views. Mariah's Venus in Nick's 12th house. Mariah is deeply moved by Nick. Mariah is needy and vulnerable around Nick. Potentially, I see the vulnerable bit because we have seen that. She seems to be very sensitive to Nick. Mariah acts different in this relationship. I don't know her other relationships, but Nick doesn't understand Mariah. We keep seeing the misunderstanding element, which isn't great. Nick feels Mariah is too good to be true. Mariah tries to hold on to this relationship. Potentially because we did see how both of them can be controlling around each other. This seems to be from Nick's end. He seems to feel that Mariah is a bit too frivolous. And then Mariah, maybe we'll see a bit more why, but she does seem to just try to hold on to this relationship. I don't know specifically Nick, but definitely this relationship. Nick feels insecure in this relationship. Oh gosh. Nick's Venus in Mariah's 5th house. Nick sees Mariah as perfect and Nick is forgiving of Mariah's faults. Mariah appreciates the admiration from Nick. Mariah may take advantage of Nick. I don't like either of these two in this relationship. Like, it seems like Mariah is really taking Nick for granted and, you know, just tries to hold on to this relationship even though she seems to be a bit more, like, independent and detached of this relationship. And Nick, he seems to be just so insecure that he's controlling Mariah and kind of defaults to being a bit more critical of her, which is just... They are both satisfied here. I assume in a more superficial way. They do seem to be very attracted to each other. Mariah's Venus, Trine Nick's Neptune. They're tolerant of each other. Mariah is willing to overlook Nick's faults. So, yeah, there does seem to be a lot of, like, of these forgiving factors and elements to this relationship. Nick appreciates Mariah. They're attracted to each other. They have similar taste in music and art, loving and harmonious. Expectations are part of the meeting. Mariah may expect too much of Nick, and Nick may be easily charmed by Mariah. Mariah's Venus opposite Nick's Pluto. There's a fine line between love and hate. I see that. We've been seeing it. Staying together is challenging. I'm pretty sure we see this again, which isn't great. Intense fear of losing each other. I hate this combination, like, because this relationship seems to be very difficult. I don't feel like either of them are enjoying themselves here. And then there's that, like, sort of need to stick onto this relationship. I feel like for different things, Nick seems to really put Mariah on a pedestal. And I feel like from Mariah's end, it seems to be more about keeping the relationship itself, not necessarily about Nick, just the relationship. Power struggles and manipulation we see again. Would not be able to be just friends. I see that because they are very much attracted to each other. We did see they potentially could be friends with benefits, but I don't know. For what we've seen, I don't know though, because like we've seen a lot of like intense things in this reading as well, so I don't feel like it would flow that way. Nick's dominance frustrates Mariah. Power struggles again. Nick is okay with manipulating Mariah to keep her. This is also not good. Why? Because we've seen this again specifically with Nick and only Nick, that he's okay with manipulating with Mariah. So now it's on to Mars. We have Mariah's Mars in Sagittarius and Nick's Mars in Scorpio. Impulsive relationship. I'm not surprised. This is very chaotic. They're direct with each other. Nick is possessive of Mariah, as we see again. Conflict as both are dominant. Okay, this seems to be where the power struggles come in, because, I mean, it was a bit weird before with, like, them being each other's parent or having the tendency to be each other's parent, but I feel like it just seems like they both want to have the upper hand on the other. Mariah's Mars in Nick's 7th house. Mariah speeds up the relationship. I feel like she's more about the relationship rather than being with Nick, if that makes sense. You know, it seems like she wants a wedding. She doesn't want a groom. Mariah is calm around Nick. I do kind of see that. Like, she does seem to be a bit more vulnerable, but she also isn't that great. Mariah wants to please Nick, and they both enjoy spending time together. We've seen this a lot from Nick's end, which is good. Nick's Mars overlaid in Mariah's 7th house, so this is repeated, just inverted, so all things from before apply. But also Nick speeds up the relationship. I do feel like this is for different intention because he seems to really view Mariah on a pedestal and sort of wants to just keep her. Nick is calmer around Mariah and Nick wants to please Mariah. Nick's Mars sextile Mariah's Jupiter. Mariah encourages Nick to assert his independence. This is odd because both of them seem to be quite like, you know, wanting to have the upper hand on each other. So interesting. They're competitive. Nick feels more energized by Mariah. They have a lot of fun together. Yeah, I feel like superficially they're great for each other. Encourage each other to engage in controversial behavior, and they like to try new things together. Nick's Mars sextile Mariah's Uranus. There's lots of sexual energy. We've seen in this relationship a lot. Encourage each other's independence. This is odd. Like, this relationship is so weird because they both seem to want to have the upper hand on each other, but they're both encouraging the other's independence. I guess this could be on Mariah's in particular. I guess it could be because on Mariah's in particular, she does seem to be quite independent in this relationship. So I guess it does make sense for her to get Nick to be his own person, but not necessarily dominate over her. I don't know where Nick's intentions would be with that. Possibly he just admires Mariah and encourages her to like be herself. Experimental relationship, possibly an open relationship. They both share humanitarian interests. We did see that in the beginning, and Mariah makes Nick anxious. Yeah, he's insecure and anxious in this relationship for sure. Nick's Mars conjunct Mariah's Neptune. Nick may resent Mariah for not giving him enough space. This is interesting. It could make sense if Mariah, because we did see Mariah wants to please Nick, if for her doing that is just being herself, being, her best independent self, which seems to be like her natural way in life. From what we're seeing in this relationship, Nick is very supportive of her. Because if you have Nick encouraging Mariah to be independent, and then also, he seems to be very insecure, wants Mariah to be with her, but then also not giving him enough space. Like, I think we did see Nick has conflicting feelings towards Mariah. I think he's confused, or this could very well just be cancelled out. Nick is fascinated by Mariah's ethereal mindset. They are both humanitarians. We see again, Mariah sees Nick as a knight in shining armor. Yeah, we were seeing how she very much sees him as a very stable companion, admires his lifestyle. Mariah is likely to become dependent on Nick. Nick's Mars sextile Mariah's Pluto. Nick's daring nature is attractive to Mariah. They're competitive. We see again potential to be destructive or dangerous. It is a mess. They have power issues we've kept seeing, and they have dramatic fights, which makes sense. They both seem to have no filter around each other. So that was the final aspect. That was an interesting reading. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, at least my interpretations, because it was a bit of a mess. If you guys enjoyed that one, give this video a like, subscribe to this channel for more videos from me, and click the notification bell for more videos from me, or to get notified when I upload. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye!